everyone. Welcome to Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. I'm your host, Diaz, and first I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, rating, subscribing, and spreading the word so far. Your support really means a lot to me. So keep tuning in because I know that you are going to leave empowered and blessed. You are tuning in to episode 7, Living in the Hood, Parenthood. And today's special guest has been here before, way back on episode 3, where we spoke about our love story and gave some advice on dating and marriage. He doesn't like to be on the spotlight, but I begged him to join me again. So my special guest is none other than my amazing husband, Anthony Diaz. Hey, babe.
How's it going? I made it.
Again.
Second time. Wow. I just want to let you know that you're so special that I had to take a lot of things out of my schedule just to make this happen.
Whatever.
But anything for you, babe.
I am your schedule. You have no schedule.
You're actually my scheduler.
Yeah. So I kind of made you do this. So
you owe me.
Hey. But first off, babe, I want to thank you for joining me again on this episode of Benevolence. I wanted you to join me because not only do I feel that you have a lot to share, but also people truly want to hear from you, and especially from a man's perspective. And I think that that's important because I want to make sure that not only girls, not only women can hear Benevolence, but also men can hear my episodes as well. I want to bless them too. All right? So thanks. Now, on today's episode of Benevolence, we're going to be talking about parenting. And this, we're going to be so real with you guys. It's kind of crazy. Because our daughter is only 3.5 years old, but we've gone through a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, a lot has happened in these 3 years.
A lot has happened in 3.5 years. It really has. And I believe that we have had so many experiences so far that we just felt like we wanted to share it with you. So even if you're single and wanting kids, dating and wanting kids, married and wanting kids, or you already have kids, this is the episode for you to hear. Yeah. But now keep in mind that this is our story. This is our parenting.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
This is a disclaimer. So there's going to be other things that you're going to do differently. You're not going to do it the way that we do it because you have a plan, and that's fine.
And also, every kid is different.
Every kid is different. Mm-hmm. So Victoria is definitely very different than other kids. So what may work for us may not work for you. So, don't quote on us word by word. This is just how it naturally happened, Yep. This is how our parenting just naturally...
It's just our story.
Exactly. It's just our story. Obviously, we always could do things a little differently. But our goal today is to pretty much give you a taste of our life with parenting. We're also going to have some lessons that we've learned so far because, trust me, in 3.5 years we do have learned, and we have some lessons that we've learned. And then we have some confessions that we want to make, and parenting worries and fears. So basically, we're going to be real with you all this time. So let's get started. And the first thing I want to do is get started with our daughter's birth story. Just more or less so you can kind of picture it in your mind as I'm talking about the birth story. So you know my experience with giving birth to Victoria. And then Anthony will bounce in and out and share his experiences as well. We have been married so far. In October, it's going to be 7 years. Okay? Right? Yes. 7 years.
October 15, 2011.
Yes, 2011. So we were married for 3 years prior to conceiving. Yes. It sounds funny. Prior to conceiving, but that's the word. We traveled. We went to California.
Hawaii on the honeymoon.
We went to Hawaii on our honeymoon, yep. We went to California with my family. I mean, we did a lot of things. We lived in an apartment. We worked hard. Went to school as well. So that was kind of our life prior to Victoria. The funny thing is that I cannot remember my life prior to Victoria.
Yeah, it's weird now. It's I'm missing piece.
It's she's missing. She was missing during that time. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you all this because that's what's coming to my head right now. But I honestly can't remember life prior to her. It doesn't come in. It's kind of sad, right?
You think about it, and you just feel like somebody's just watching her at the moment.
Yeah.
While you're single, but she wasn't.
No, she wasn't there.
She wasn't there.
So when it came to Victoria and conceiving or whatever, we weren't planning on having a child yet. We wanted kids, but the circumstances that we were in, we had to move back with our parents. Well, my parents, around the 3rd year. And we were already almost a year there, or 2 years there. It was like a year and a half. Yeah. That, unfortunately, just finances and things like that, and situations occurred where we had to move back to my parents' house, which isn't a bad thing. So for those of you that are still living with your parents, it's okay. It's okay. Mm-hmm. We were living with my parents, and then in May 2014, around that time was where it all happened.
and just being real, we never, had protected sex.
No.
It it just never happened.
Exactly. It wasn't like, it was more like it'll happen when it happens. Like, yeah. We weren't planning, we weren't protecting. Like, we were just going with the flow.
Yeah, just to be honest.
Yep. So a lot of you may be protecting yourselves, and that's okay too. But we kind of just went with the flow, and we just wanted God to kind of like take care of that aspect of kids. I'm kind of not good with timing. I know that there's a certain amount of time where women are fertile, and you have to do it prior or after your menstrual cycle and all of that nonsense. But we never planned it like that. So around May 2014, that was when I found out that I was pregnant, and I think I was about 6 weeks in so far. And prior to that, early into 2014, 2 people had already approached me, as we go to church, so we believe in God and all of that. So 2 people had approached me and said they had dreams or visions of me being pregnant that year or having a child that year.
Shout out to Lourdes and June.
Lourdes and June, thank you guys. You guys are great. So 2 people prior to that had shared with us that they had either a vision or a dream that we were going to have a girl. Mm-hmm. We were going to have a baby. And, whatever, we accept it, we receive it. But then, we just kind of living our lives normally, nothing crazy. And then, boom, May comes, and I'm behind on my menstrual cycle. And then I'm regular on my menstrual cycle, so maybe I thought I was just a few days off, or I was a week off, because it happens. It just happens. But then one night, or one morning, I'll tell you. It was a Sunday morning, early in the morning. I had a dream, and it was very quick. And it was my grandmother and I heard her voice so clear, and it said, she looked at me and she said, chequeate. And chequeate in Spanish, that means check yourself. Mm-hmm.
Before you wreck yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I just had to.
You had to. I know. So I remember my grandma in my dream telling me, chequeate. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Let me just get up. I did have a pregnancy test with me at the time. And then I just woke up one morning and I took the pregnancy test. Mm-hmm. And no lie, like, you were still sleeping on the bed. Nothing. Like, I took it. I waited the 3 minutes. And what do you know? The stick said that I was pregnant. So I'm sitting there on the toilet, but not already. I was sitting normally. Like, I wasn't peeing or anything. I was just sitting there waiting for the thing. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is nuts. So I was like, okay, let me calm down. But I kind of took it like very nonchalant. Mm-hmm. I really didn't have a freak out. I just went to the bed. I laid down next to you. I nudged you. I don't know if you remember.
Kind of, yeah.
And then I showed you the stick. And I said, I don't know what this means, but I think, like, we're pregnant. I think I'm pregnant. And you just woke up. Like, you woke up and you couldn't believe it. And then you were like, okay, well, this one's like the Dollar Tree one, because I think it was a Dollar Tree. Mm-hmm. And then you said, we'll go to the store after church and we'll take a digital one, like a more expensive one, and we'll take it again.
Yeah, just to make sure.
And wasn't it Super Bowl Sunday? That everybody was coming to Rosana's house or something like that?
No, because Super Bowl's in February.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My bad. But it was like we were having like a barbecue or something because everybody was going to Rosana's house that day. It may have been your mom's birthday.
Memorial weekend.
It could have been Memorial weekend
remember
too.
That Memorial you were? No,
yeah.
You were. That wasn't it.
Yeah, that was.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
It was in our yearly traditional Sarasota trip with the family, and we were out eating that Saturday evening, and you were like throwing up, and
I thought it was sun poison.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we were literally out in the sun, and I was throwing up, and I didn't have any answers to why I was throwing up.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't even come across our minds.
No, it didn't.
Which is weird. You would have think like, oh, she threw up. Okay, she's probably pregnant.
No, I really thought it was sun poisoned.
Uh-huh. I remember that.
And I stayed home. I remember the family went out, and I stayed in the room because I was just feeling so sick. Mm-hmm. That is hilarious. So I went through like the normal stages of what a pregnant person would go through. Mm-hmm. But anyways, to make a long story short, we were pregnant, and we announced to our parents, and we bought them little onesies, and we gave it to them, and they freaked out. Totally freaked out. My mom freaked out. My parents freaked out. My mom thought it was a gift for somebody else. She thought I had given her the wrong gift when it was actually for her. So when she saw the onesie, she like freaked out. And then the same thing was your mom's birthday. We gave her the onesie, and then she looked at it, and then it was like, oh my gosh, she like freaked out, and then everybody else freaked out. It was just a wonderful, wonderful moment. We didn't know the sex yet, obviously. But from there was the start of my pregnant life. Yeah. You know, things started to change. So basically, babe, what were your thoughts when you found out I was pregnant and all of that?
I think because of the way that you delivered the news, the way you were poised, you were, talking very calmly, like, and like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know what this means, but I think I'm pregnant. I think because of that, I didn't show, that much reaction. Obviously I was excited. I always wanted kids. Growing up with a family with 3 other brothers, having a big family was something that I wanted for my future. So I was excited, but to be honest, for some reason, I didn't show that excitement. And I think also because knowing, the type of person that you are, we don't want to, get our hopes up if, God forbid, God was to, take the child away early. So we just wanted to take it calmly, day by day, week by week. And but I didn't show as much excitement as I would have liked to, But
I think you showed excitement when we did the second pregnancy test that day. When we were actually at Rosana's house, we bought a digital one because those are more, I don't know.
Yeah, because we wanted to be sure. I didn't want to show like all my hype and then.
But I knowing how I am, I took it mad chill too. Yeah. I wasn't freaking out. I was like, look, we might be pregnant. But let's take another one later on and make sure.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't show excitement that first time around.
Yeah, and it was funny because we went to church, and it was hard keeping a secret.
Yeah, because you get that news and you want to tell everybody.
Tell everybody. Yeah, it was hard. But then that afternoon we took the digital test and it wound up being positive.
Yep.
So, and then I remember seeing your face when I told you. I was like, yeah, and you were like you were so happy. So from that moment on, we told our parents and we told our family, and then the whole story of pregnancy began. And instantly, from one day to the next, I had the worst morning sickness ever. My first trimester was terrible. My first trimester, I was throwing up for anything. Every morning when I took a bath at a certain time, I think it was after I was lathering my body and rinsing off, my body would decide to go, to throw up. So I would throw up right then and there. And, I'd have to take a bath again. And you heard me in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I would be throwing up all the time. And although I went through such a terrible first trimester, it was so nice to have lost so much weight during my pregnancy.
You're looking good.
I was looking good. I felt like I was in my prime during pregnancy because I had lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
I lost 30 pounds from throwing up, obviously. I did not gain not 1 pound of baby. I actually lost weight. So I was feeling good. I was feeling so sexy. And, during my pregnancy, my belly started to grow around the fifth month. And you start to see, like, its roundness. Because I was still always a thick girl. But, it started to really show around the fifth month. And then we did our gender reveal. And that's when we found out that we were having a baby girl.
Yep.
I personally have always known, and I've always wanted and desired to have a girl first. And I knew I was going to name her Victoria, which is funny. But how were you feeling about having a girl first? And what were your thoughts in us finding out that we were having a girl?
I mean, I was excited to find out that, we were having a girl. Because you've mentioned to me, previously how you always felt that, you were going to have a girl. Mm-hmm. I never minded having a girl. And I kind of felt like it was going to happen only because, see, my parents, as I mentioned earlier, I have 3 brothers. So no sisters, no girls. So from what my parents always told me, my mom always wanted that one girl. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, after 4 tries, it never happened. Mm-hmm. So, luckily we were able to, give them as grandparents their first girl and get that first Diaz girl in there.
Exactly. That's awesome. And also, like, how about, like, seeing the morning sickness and seeing the belly grow? Because that's the first time for you, too. It's the first time for me. So, as a man, seeing your wife's belly grow and you're actually feeling the kicks and all of that when we felt the first kick, like, and also seeing me throw up in the morning, like, as a man, like, how do you feel about that?
All right. So, as far as the vomiting, there wasn't much I could do. I mean, all I could do was just go behind you, pat you in the back.
It's kind of sad.
Try to hold my smell from, like, smelling it. Like, try not to vomit with you. Hold your hair up or something. I don't know, like, actually feel okay. So there was not much I could do about that. But as far as watching, your belly grow as the time went on, it was a fun experience. And I remember just laying on the bed with you at times, just touching your belly and singing to the baby. I would always sing, "You Are My Sunshine" to her. So, so in my head, I was always hoping that when she would come out, come out your womb, and as she would grow, she would always remember her dad singing "You Are My Sunshine," and it will be something that I will continue to sing to her. Mm-hmm.
And you have.
Yeah, and for the rest of the pregnancy, I didn't mind it because they always say the girls have these cravings. Mm-hmm. So I was actually looking forward to that. I'm like, because I like to eat, like, so I'm like, I'm gonna be eating right there along with you. So, so I was excited for that.
I didn't really have cravings though. I think the only thing, I didn't have any weird cravings, but I remember eating Taco Bell a lot. Like, I was always at Taco Bell. I wanted tacos. And the crazy thing is now I really love tacos. Like, prior to pregnancy, I loved tacos. But now I really love tacos. And especially during pregnancy, that was, like, my little thing. But I didn't have any weird, like, people eat pickles and things like that. Like, I didn't have anything weird. And I was enjoying losing weight. That was the thing. That I was just losing more weight. And as, the pregnancy just progressed through the months. And it was just the greatest feeling ever for me. So now moving on, around January 29th, the baby was due. The baby was supposed to be due by February 2nd, February 3rd of 2015. And then I had, so it was like on my 39th week. I didn't even reach a full 40 weeks. Mm-hmm. And around January 29th is when I started to feel some contractions. And it was actually after a doctor's appointment I had with my gynecologist. So I feel like, I will say it to this day, I feel like she triggered it. Because it was like one of those checks. Yeah. So I felt like she triggered it because I went home and I was feeling contractions. And it was like every 15 minutes. And I was like, uh-oh, something's happening. It was painful. Yeah. And then you remember that you had kept asking me if you wanted to take me to the hospital. And I said no. Because I was afraid to be sent back. Because I had already heard from prior moms, that doesn't make sense, but I had heard from moms prior to that if you're not fully dilated or if you're not in the 5 or 6 or 7 range, they're just going to send you back home. Yeah, and I was like,
could do at that point.
Exactly. So I was like, we're not going home. Like, I will not get sent home. That was like my main fear. Like, as soon as I get to the hospital, I want to stay in the hospital. So we actually lasted a whole 24 hours.
Yep. no sleep.
No sleep.
Because every time you felt one of those contractions, you had to let me know.
I had to let you know. I was grabbing onto you, and it was terrible. It was bad.
Yeah, I remember that, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. But I started to have contractions that were getting closer and closer together, but I was like not a G, but I was like,
you were pumped. You were ready.
I was pumped. I was ready. I was a warrior. I was like,
it was like a mission.
It was a mission because I didn't want to get sent home. So I was like, no, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to deal with these contractions. And I'm just going to keep on enduring the pain. And then
I got to give you props because you're not one to endure pain, you know? Like,
yeah, I'm a little wuss.
Yeah, you're a little wuss when it comes to pain.
Yeah, but like...
when that happened, it's like...
Yeah, I held on strong. Yeah. I held on a full day strong. And then finally, the next day around noon, I was like, babe, I can't take it no more. And then we went. Mm-hmm. You took off from work. You took me to the hospital. And then that's when I went to the emergency room, but they said I wasn't fully dilated. I was like, no. We are not getting sent home. So to make a long story short, they just asked me to stay in the hospital. Walk around, and then return around 7 o'clock in the evening. Because we had gotten there. We had left around 5. Like, we were admitted into the emergency room, left the emergency room at 5, and they were giving me 2 hours to walk around, go back to the emergency room at 7, and see if I was dilated even more. And I barely walked. Remember that? I would take 2 steps and it was pain. I would take another 3 steps. It was pain. It was like unbearable pain. Like the world was spinning. It was worse than cramps. It was worse than like when you have like cramps in the back of your calves. Like it's something you can't describe. It was just a strong pain that would last for about a minute or so. And then it'll go away, come back again. It was nonstop.
I just have to say that I'm just so proud to be a man. I don't have to worry about that.
True. And then from there, we went back, and I was already fully dilated. I was already maybe at 8 or 9 centimeters, so they had to send me up quick. But it didn't seem like it was going to happen anytime soon because my water didn't break and all of that. So they sent me up to the room. I'm still having contractions, and immediately, as soon as the anesthesiologist comes into the room to give me these options, I was like, epidural, please, now.
Yep.
So he immediately called whoever he needed to call. They set me up. They pinched me in the back, and when I first had the first release of epidural in my body, I felt
it
amazing. You remember me during that time?
You were like, ooh, like put more,
give me
more.
Because it felt like a nice minty, you know when you have like a mint feeling, and it was like the mint was going through your veins. It was like a nice cold, and it was amazing. So from there, I went to sleep. It was already late night. It was already the 30th in the nighttime. I fell asleep. I had my mom, my mother-in-law, Anthony in the room. And then around maybe early the next morning, I'd say around 1 o'clock in the morning or so, I started to feel like, and this sounds funny, but this is how I say it. I started to feel major fart pains. Major. Like you guys know, like don't judge me, people. When you're in a place that you need to fart and you can't, so the fart has to go right back up your butt, you know?
Yeah.
I was feeling like that. It was like bubble guts. It was crazy. And I remember telling the nurse, I was like, Miss, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta fart. She's like, oh, no, girl. Because she was like a little Jamaican girl, a little Jamaican woman, you remember? Yeah. She's like, oh, no, sweetie. You're giving birth. That's contractions. I was like, no, I gotta fart. I was like, I gotta take a poop. I need to get up and go. And they're like, no, you can't go. I was like feeling the pains. Yeah. I forgot to add that a little prior to that, they had to pop my my water. So that's another reason why I was feeling contractions. You remember when they had to pop my water? Mm-hmm. That was like a interesting feeling. And then
it was even that scare.
Oh yeah. But the scare was happening during the scare was after. So I was feeling like I needed to fart. That's when they started calling the nurses in to prep me for natural birth. I did give natural birth to Victoria, which thank the Lord that I was able to give to push and
that was something
do.
that you always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's something that I always wanted to do. And then they started to prep me. And then a little bit, as they were prepping, I started to feel a little woozy. And they had stopped giving me the epidural because it was time for birth. Like, it was time to push. Mm-hmm. And I started to feel very, very woozy. And it was that my pressure was falling. My pressure was going very, very low. So they had to give me oxygen. And then, in addition to that, the monitor wasn't catching the baby's heartbeat. Yeah. So they couldn't find the baby's heartbeat. And they were going to do an emergency C-section. They put me on one side. Then they were trying to find it. They couldn't find it. They put me on another side. They couldn't find it either. And I was like, Lord, what the heck? Like,
it was a scary moment.
It was, yeah.
They even had the C-section doctor come, and the way they came in, it was like a rush come in.
Yeah,
so it was a bad feeling. We just started to pray once that started to happen.
Yeah, I looked over at you guys. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but y'all need to pray right now. And then I just kept looking at that monitor. I'm like, come on, baby. I'm like, come on, you got this. It's like, mommy's sick, but you don't got to be sick too, you know? Yeah. Just come on. And then finally I started feeling a little better. And then finally, I think when they did one more switch to the side, they were able to find the heartbeat. And then the lady was like, you give me permission to do emergency C-section? And I was like, yeah, whatever you got to do for her to be healthy. Yeah. But then during that time, I was ready to push. Like, I had to take the biggest dump ever. And the lady, the Jamaican lady, she was like, don't do it yet. Wait. Because I was ready to go. And then finally, the doctor was there. She had to stay. The surgeon. She had to stay. You remember that? She was a little mad. But she had to stay because I was ready to go. And there was no one there. Like, there was no midwife or anything. So she was like, all right, we'll start pushing. I gave about 2 to 3 pushes. And that baby was already out. Yeah. It was like pushes to do poo. I was doing poo pushes. And Victoria crowned. She started to come out. I did one more huge push. They pulled her out. And then it was just, I remember that feeling of like, did she even cry? I don't even remember her crying. She cried. She cried a little bit. Cried, yeah. But then her eyes were open. And she had all this hair. And I'm like, where the heck did she get all this hair? Because I didn't have, like, usually they say, like, when you have a lot of acidez, like, heartburn and all that, it's because of hair. But I didn't have none of that. I had a great pregnancy. And then Victoria was born at 2:10 on January 31st, 2015. She was 7 pounds, 14 ounces, 21 inches long. And she was a healthy baby. She had a head full of hair. Her eyes were, like, really big and black. And it was one of the greatest, most scariest moments of my life. Right?
Best way to put it.
Yeah. It was one of the greatest moments, but also the scariest moments of my life. So, you have anything to say about those moments?
Oh, man. Those moments. I will say, guys, like, nothing I say could prepare you for that moment.
Yep.
Like, I can remember, like, at first, because we never took, what do you call those classes that they show you how to breathe and all that?
No, I don't know what they're called. It's like a fancy name.
You always see it on the shows. The
yeah,
TV
but
shows,
we didn't do none of that.
We never did it. So, I mean, from what I've seen on TV, at first I would be right next to you, trying to pump you up, but you were good, so I was holding you and you were like, go look, go see how it looks. And I'm like, I went to look and, oh man, let's just say I'm scarred. Like,
because you were next to me,
and I'm
like,
at you the same.
You were next to me. I'm like, baby, you gotta go look.
Yeah, because if it was up to you, you would have like a mirror. You would want to see yourself.
If I could reach, I would have pulled her out myself. Because I'm weird like that. Yeah.
So I go down. I start looking at Victoria crowning, and I'm getting scared because like I'm not sure how long it is, but the few minutes that she's crowning and the head's coming out, I'm like, can she breathe? Like,
yeah, because she's kind of stuck within the vagina walls.
Yeah, so
sorry for the harsh words.
Yeah, and then they're turning her head, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill my freaking baby. Like, like, what are you doing?
But
don't do that.
She's like, rubbery at that moment. Like, yeah, she's very.
But I don't know.
No, I know. Like, you don't know.
No one could prepare me for that moment. So But so they're turning her head, and I'm hoping that they don't twist my baby's head off, and and they're pulling. It just seems weird, but they were doing it, and she's coming out. And she, like you said, she's quiet. So I'm in my heart, I'm praying, making sure that God, please bless our baby. I pray that we have a healthy baby. And so she comes out. The head's like a little bit shaped weird. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, God, I hope this this fixes itself a little bit later on. And you remember even I think one of her ears was kind of like sticking out more than the other.
Yeah. And you asked the doctor.
The doctor or you, and I'm like, does that like go back or
does that get fixed?
Yeah. So. And
they were like, yeah. And it did, because Victoria's ears are fine now.
Yeah. So that's that part, But on the serious note, I was excited. Just no one can tell you that feeling of when you first become, a father, a parent. It's like there's nothing in the world like that experience, especially when it's your first one.
Exactly.
So, I was excited, a proud father. If there was any time that I felt like a man, it's there.
Yeah.
And, you get the fears of, wanting to make
What's
sure
next?
that, exactly what's next. And I don't want to go ahead of you. So I'll leave it at that. That's how I felt as far as Victoria's birth.
Awesome, babe. So then from there, we were literally in the hospital for maybe about a day and a half more. And it was scary. It was scary in a sense where, remember the baby was like choking.
Yeah, it was just that moment where she was like, choking. So we call a nurse in real quick, and she just picks up Victoria, just turns her around
and hits her,
just start like,
patting her, but hard.
Yeah, until this gooey stuff came out, right?
It was like black gooey stuff, but it's like from my body.
Yeah,
the babies do that.
Yeah,
but we didn't know. So you gotta understand, like, these are things that no one can prepare you. No book can prepare you for, and every birth is different too. Mm-hmm. So it's like we had to deal with that because we were trying to feed her. Which, by the way, I went straight to formula because I couldn't breastfeed, and then all of a sudden she's like choking and gagging, and then the nurse comes. You're thinking something's wrong with your child. She picks her up and then she starts like cupping her, like hitting her in the back, and you're like, oh my God. And then you hear the baby like,
take it easy on my child.
I know. And then you hear like the baby like cough.
Yeah.
We heard her coughing, and it was just, it's just, those are just things that no one can prepare you for. And we were scared, and it was, I think for me, one of the scariest moments was the day that we left the hospital. Because it was like we didn't have the nurses there for us anymore. We didn't have the doctor there for us anymore. We were on our own.
Yeah.
And we were going to start this journey with Victoria. And we had, like, no help, but we had no experience, no prior experience. We were jumping into this journey, not knowing what the heck we were doing.
We already started feeling that. You remember the first night where I said it was done, you gave birth, and they give you our child, and she's on the, what do you call
she's in the little bed.
She's on the little bedding, and we're like, what do we do? Like, we don't know what to do at that moment.
All we could do was look at her.
Yeah, and the nurses, they go to their spots.
They go and they help other babies and things like that. But we were just like, what next? Like, what do we do? What do we do?
It was hard to sleep that night, right?
It was hard to sleep. And then I think
we only slept because they had to take the baby back for an hour or two.
Yeah. And then the thing is, they would have kept her more time, because I remember the nurse asking me, do you want me to keep her more time so you can rest? But I went on mom mode immediately, and I was like, no, after you're done doing what you do, bring her back. Like, I want her with me. Yeah. And, I could have left her in the nursery. The babies are there. They're chilling. Yeah. They're in the best care that they could possibly have. And, we could have slept. We could have recovered. But no, I wanted Victoria by my side. And then from that moment when they left her with us, it was just, we couldn't sleep. We were making sure she was breathing. And that's for life. Because even now, this morning, she was there with us. And I literally put my hand on her belly, making sure she was breathing. That's something for life you will always do. Even my mom, I remember that she would still do that as a teenager. She would just look at me and wait for me to do my sigh that I was breathing. Yeah. That Victoria does a lot. And then, and that's something for life. So, but I'm going a little ahead of myself. So taking her home was one of the craziest, most scariest moments of our lives. It was crazy. And then I think no one really prepares you for the emotional state that you go through as a woman. And no one prepares men to deal with what their wife is about to go through when you get home. Because I did go through some baby blues and some postpartum depression, and it was immediately. I was feeling a lot of anxiety. I was feeling hopeless, helpless. And even though I had my mom, I had my dad, I had Anthony, I just felt like that wasn't enough, And like no one was there for me emotionally. So I felt like I was doing this on my own. And there were moments where I didn't want to hold Victoria. I didn't want to hold her. And I remember Anthony was always holding her. My parents were always holding her. I put her down, always putting her down. To this day, that is one thing that I always regret. Like, I was like, man, I could have held her a little more. I could have held her, had some like body time, But I was going through my emotions, and it was scary. It was scary. There was one moment where Anthony had gone back to work after 2 weeks of being home with me. I didn't go back to work until after a month and a half. So I had like 4 weeks left where I was alone at home during the day. And I remember Victoria was crying, but it was like screaming. I had given her food. I had changed her diaper. I had laid her down. I had held her in my arms. And it was like she would not stop crying. I remember I was about to freak out. It was crazy. Like, I didn't want to hurt her. So I just put her down. We had a king bed. I put all the pillows on the floor. I put all the sheets on the floor. I put her right in the middle of the bed, and I walked away. I literally left the room and I closed the door. And I went to the living room and I sat down and I cried and cried and cried. And I felt like, I'm like, what am I doing? If this is how it's going to be, like, then I don't want to deal with this. But that's how deep I went. And that's how, and it probably is nothing. Probably was like just baby blues, but it's real. It happens, and no one prepares you for the emotional side of coming into this motherhood journey. No one prepares you for that. I definitely wasn't prepared. And it was tough. Eventually, once I started working, it went away. Because I needed to be busy. I needed something else. I just couldn't be alone at home. So, like, as a man, how did you take it?
As far as me, as the husband's and father's perspective, I just tried to be there for you the best way that I could. Emotionally, there was times where you felt like I couldn't understand you, and it was true. I couldn't understand you being the man. But I just tried to be there to support you, to love on you. And the tough part about it is that, you can have all these people that are around you, that support you and that they're for you. But if you're so, like as you mentioned, so deep within the postpartum, it's like it clouds your mind, and it makes you think that you're the only one that's going through it.
Exactly.
And I tried to remind you, I said, babe, look, you're not the only mother who's going through this. There's plenty of other mothers, who go through this. And it's just a phase. It's just for a time. It's not going to be forever. So I just tried to, give you encouraging words whenever I could, and just be there for you.
Yeah. And thank you. And thank you for that. And it was hard. But like I said, I got through it. And ever since that moment, it got easier. It got way easier. Yeah. And I can honestly say that parenting raising Victoria has been so much fun. We have had so much fun seeing her walk. First time she walked. Seeing the first time she went to school.
We have so many pictures and videos of her as a baby.
Yeah, we do. And then it seems like
it's unfortunate that it's like as she got older, it's like less pictures and videos, but we got to go back to it.
We do got to go back. But that's pretty much it. That's our baby story, pretty much. That's Victoria's birth story, and it just gets better and better from there. So moving on, I wanted to talk about some lessons that we've learned from parenting. I know it's only been 3.5 years, but we've learned so much. We've learned so much. And we have 7 lessons that we've learned from being parents, being a mom, being a dad, and definitely something that we're going to take in consideration when we have our second child.
Yep.
You know, so these are things that we've learned, and we kind of just want to put it out there for you guys to listen and to kind of, you know, you don't have to do it the way that we do it, but these are things that, pieces of advice that we would like to share with you, so that maybe you can try it a little differently. Okay? So, you want to take the first one, babe?
Sure, I'll take the first one. So first one we got, make sure the baby is put in their bedroom right away. So that's one of the things we messed up in, and we'll probably go into a little bit further when we go into our confessions. But put the baby in the bed right away, because otherwise, let's just say that
She
it's
will
going to
never
require
leave.
sacrifice, if you know what I mean. Like,
Listen,
it'll disrupt things.
since Victoria was birthed, right? We had a beautiful crib. It was literally right next to our bed. And she didn't, I don't think she ever, maybe 1 or 2 nights we tried, but then I would always go get her and put her in the middle.
Yep.
A lot of parents may think we are crazy because, first of all,
they tell us not to do that.
they tell us not to do it. Do not sleep with your infant. Do not sleep, because I don't know, we can hurt them.
Yeah.
You know, there's been stories out there where parents have smothered their babies because they're there. But I always try to do it where I would get the change. Remember the changing table?
Yeah.
The comfort part of it.
It was like shaped in a specific way where it would be hard to like kind of.
Yeah, for her to roll over,
Yeah,
or for us
exactly.
to roll over it. So I put that in the middle of us, and then I gave her a pillow. Victoria always had a pillow.
Nice light skinny pillow.
Yeah, a very light skinny pillow, so she was always a little elevated, and I could not sleep without her. I needed to sleep with Victoria. And even if she started in her bed, eventually, so for the sake of my sleep.
It all makes sense now, because now we'll get into it, but she always asks to come to our bed.
Yeah, it's true. And she's been sleeping, like, I don't want to go ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But one thing that we want to let you guys know is to please try to put your child into their bed. Even if the bed is in your room in a bassinet, that's great.
To start off.
But always try to start off getting them used to sleeping in their own bed from the get-go, because it's very difficult in the long run.
Yeah, because you guys want the time to continue
to be intimate.
Intimate, and not just that, you want to have that time to talk to each other, because once that baby continues to grow, it's like those moments become less and less.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so number 1, put baby in their bedroom right away, or in their bed right away, or the bassinet. Use the bassinet if you have a co-sleeper where it attaches to the bed, but just always try to keep the baby on their own bed from the beginning, so that just to prevent future problems. Second, make date nights and friends not the first priority, but make them a priority. It's important that when you have a child, you still have your date nights. That you need time away from your child to rekindle. I wouldn't say rekindle, but you need to keep igniting that fire between you and your spouse. And having a date night is so important. And even if you, throughout your entire date night, all you do is talk about your child, that's okay. But just make sure that you have time away from your child to just reminisce and talk about work. And it's just important, because trust me, right now she's 3.5 years old, and there's moments we can't even talk because she wants to be like in it. Yeah. She's like, why?
She needs our attention.
Yeah, she needs our attention. Like, we'll have a conversation. Why are you talking to mommy? Why? But you talk to me. Like, it gets kind of crazy. So just make sure that you take time to go out with your spouse, and take some time to go out with your friends too. Sometimes, a lot of people, they lose their friends once they have a family, but always try to make give them time too. You know, give them...
It's an adjustment. Not
Exactly.
just for your family, but for your friends as well.
Exactly.
All right,
So,
moving on. Number 3, we got travel with your child early.
mm-hmm.
So a lot of times what happens is you have your child, they're born, and you guys just tend to stay in, and you don't even go out because you feel the child is too little to go out. You don't want to get them sick, but you don't want to miss out on life.
Yeah, traveling is fun, and your life does not have to stop just because you have a kid. Yep. So remember that. Okay, number 4, influence. So when I mean influence, I mean just your lifestyle. For us, we go to church a lot because we worship. Anthony's a worship leader. I'm also in the worship team. So influence in prayer and in worship and in church, like I can honestly say that Victoria will never forget the days where we will be in church almost every single day. Mm-hmm. It was like two weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We were at church every single day, and she would be like, "Why? Why are we going to church?" You know, and those things she will never forget.
Yep.
And when we worship in the car or we're at home singing a song, she knows those songs already. Mm-hmm. And praying, you know, if we pray as a family, she'll always remember that. She'll always remember her parents praying or worshiping the Lord or going to church and things like that. So, you know, go ahead and instill, you know, whatever lifestyle it is, but obviously a positive lifestyle. But if you go to church and things, you always want to be that influence for your child so that they'll never forget it. Yeah. Next, number 5.
All right, so number 5, we got partnership. And that's in regards to bottle feeding and helping each other out.
Diaper changing.
To be honest, I didn't expect to do much of that. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the wife is going to take care of all that. But no, like we mentioned before in our previous episode, you know, it's not about one person. It's really a partnership. It's a team effort. One thing I would recommend and advise is before you guys have that, you know, baby, talk about what your expectations are. That way, there's no surprises that come along later on. So, you know, when we spoke about it, she's like, you know, it's not just me. You know, I need you to help change her. I need you to help feed her. I need you to help waking up at nighttime to feed her and whatnot. So what we did was we alternated nights. Yeah. So one night she'll be the one to wake up with the baby and feed her and change her. That way it'll allow the other person to sleep. And then the following night it'll change. And I'll be honest, those nights I had to, you know, wake up, it was hard. It was rough. Mm-hmm. But then when you're holding her and you're feeding her, it's like, you know, it's like,
it's just worth it. And you see her, like, it's just worth it. It's worth waking up because now I'm with you. I'm spending time with you.
Yeah, it's like you're continuing to grow that bond. Mm-hmm. And they may not remember it, but honestly, it does have an effect.
Yeah. And then it helps your spouse.
Yeah.
You know, we came up with that decision to alternate nights, and it was amazing because I was able to get a full night's sleep, and then the next night you were able to get a full night's sleep, and it was just great. It was great, and eventually when she would sleep the full 8 hours, then we were both able to sleep full nights, and it was just,
I'll be honest, so I would get a little mad when it was your night to wake up, and then she'll sleep throughout the whole night. And
I know, that happened.
That happened. Yep. I'm like, I think you should do the next night, sis.
No, but there were moments, yes, where she never would wake up to want to, like, have a bottle feeding. I'm sorry. So just make sure that you have your expectations set prior to giving birth or having children, just so that you guys can work together and build a team, because it is about a team. Number 6, it doesn't matter your situation. A lot of people have this mentality, oh, we'll start having kids when we're ready. But in reality, I don't think anyone is fully, 100% fully ready to have a child. Mm-hmm. When we had a kid, we were living with my parents. I was still in school. I was in my senior year, full time. Like, I was working part-time, school for full-time, and then we were living with my parents. You were in school as well, part-time, and you were working full time. We didn't have a budget. We didn't go into the situation ready with thousands of dollars in our account.
Yeah.
We weren't in the best setting that we would have liked. We would have liked to live and maybe have found our own place, but that wasn't the reality of the situation. So don't feel bad if it's not the way that you want it to be.
Yeah, or the way you imagined.
Or the way you've imagined. The baby is still a baby. The baby's still going to grow. You're not going to get blamed because you were living in your in-laws or you were living with your parents during the time. Like, whatever the case may be, it's okay. Go through with it and it'll get better in time. So that's how I feel for that one.
All right, now moving on to number 7 and the last one. We have join a community of parents or friends that are parents for support. One thing that, we wish would have happened while, we were in the early days of parenthood was that parent or other parents that would kind of take us under their wing and kind of make sure that we were good emotionally, or making sure Ceci was good emotionally, especially, when women who have given birth and have gone through postpartum, you would think that they would, reach out to other women just to make sure that they're good, make sure that they don't go through it. So unfortunately that didn't happen to us. We did have our, parents on her side, on my side, and family who supported us. But, it would have been nice just to have those other parents, maybe other parents within our same age range to give us advice, to kind of give us guidance. So it'd be good to kind of join a community, or even if you kind of have to pinpoint some parents that you kind of look up to or you would like advice from, and just reach out to them, beforehand. Say, hey, look, I would love to get your advice. Yeah. Maybe meet with you monthly, just to have that support, because we always need that support. Not every question is going to get answered, but if there's things that you can learn from other people's mistakes beforehand, it's always going to be a help.
So those are the 7 lessons we've learned from parenthood. And moving on, we want to talk about some parenting confessions. This is a little scary. Our top 5 parenting confessions. Yep. And we're literally going to lay it out on the table. Yeah.
So who's going first?
I guess I'll go first. Our first parenting confession is that Victoria still sleeps in our room.
Yeah. Which is why that first lesson previously was making sure the baby is put in their bed or
in their room right away.
Yeah, we've learned this from experience, and we still go through it.
We still go through it. 3.5 years later, we never moved her to her own room. We eventually, we bought a house, and she has her own room, and she does not sleep in it. It's just, it's a playroom. She sleeps in our room. She sleeps on her bed, but it's literally like 5 inches away from ours. So she can literally walk over, jump over to our bed if she wants to. Please, when we say, try to put your baby away, not away, but try to put the baby on their own bed and on their own room from the get-go, it's going to definitely help you out.
Yeah, you'll be glad you did it.
You'll be glad you did it. So that's our first confession. You want to take the second one?
All right, second confession, and it's something that I said I would never do to my baby because I want to make sure my baby is healthy.
This one's for you.
Yeah, I want to make sure my baby's skinny, not big or thick like me, and I give her sweets, unfortunately, at nighttime. I think I don't know if it's culture or just my family that I can remember growing up and my grandma would be like, here's some cookies and here's a snack with the milk. Mm-hmm. So I grew up always having like sweets before going to sleep or at nighttime. So unfortunately that's still a part of me, and I try to sneak away like so she doesn't see me. But the moment she knows that I'm like in the kitchen or I'm away from her, she's like, Daddy, what are you doing? And she comes, and so I at least try to give her like a small like
snacks,
a small percentage. Like I'll just give her 1 or 2 cookies. That's it. Just to kind of limit, so it's not so much. But we shouldn't be doing it.
we shouldn't be doing it, especially with our metabolism.
Yeah.
But yes, that's our second confession, is that Daddy gives her sweets.
Yeah.
So our third parenting confession is that we use the threat and bribe strategy.
Something we said we would never do.
Something we said that we would never do is by threatening and bribing our child.
It's like, cause sometimes, you know, not that we're on a rush, but it's like, we want things to happen.
We want things to happen. She wants to play.
We'll say what we need to say just to make it happen. And it's not good advice.
It's not good advice, but that's something that we do.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of threats, but not like bad threats.
Yeah.
It's just, you know.
So yeah, like no TV.
No TV or...
We're going to close your room. You can't go in your room.
Yeah.
Or something.
And then I always use the word ever. So I pretty much... Oh man, it's bad. We're scarring our child, but yes, that's our parenting confession number 3 is that we use a lot of threats and bribes in order for us to get what we want. So if you're a parent out there and you are doing the same, please let me know so I can feel better about myself. Because sometimes in life, you know, it's just we work hard and we come home and we just want things to work out in a certain way, and then they want to rebel. And sometimes we just have to pull the threat card or pull the bribe card in order for them to do what we want them to do, and that's just how it is for us so far. So hopefully it'll stop soon.
Yep. Number 4, we spoil our child. Unfortunately,
yes.
I remember growing up and I had a good childhood.
Me too.
Like, we didn't live rich or anything.
No. But
like, I had game systems. I had the toys that I wanted. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of spoiled growing up.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
You know, I try to give Victoria, you know, what she wants. You know, she has me wrapped around her finger.
Yeah, me too. She'll want
so
something.
it's hard to say no.
It's hard to say no. But I give it to her anyways because I just can't help it.
And it's not that it's just hard to say no. It's because I think we like to see her
happy
expression. We like to see her happiness when she does get it. And
yeah, because her expression is really cute. And finally, parenting confession number 5 is that we use technology a lot. We let her watch TV and we let her use the iPad. That is something that on a day-to-day I try my best to limit the time. Even her pediatrician, when we go to do checkups, she will tell us, the American Family Association requires that every child have a minimum to 30 minutes of TV time a day. Or maximum. Okay. I'm looking at that lady and I'm like, you crazy. Because
you want to watch my kid for the rest of the
exactly
4.5 hours?
Tell me about it. You want to watch my kid one day? Because without TV and without iPad, I think it'll be a very interesting day.
And it's not that that's what she does every night. It's when we need to clean the house or I need to do schoolwork.
Yes. You know? Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like when I have to do housework, Anthony's in school full time. Yeah. So if there are moments where we need some downtime because we have other things to do. So we rely on technology for her to be entertained for the time being. So, you know, that's something that maybe as a parent you don't want to get into, but our reality is that it works for us because we're just busy working parents. So that's pretty much our parenting confessions. Those are our top 5 parenting confessions. So if you have any parent confessions, please let me know so that we can form a community.
Yeah, we're going to have a confession session.
Yes. So when I say that living in the hood, parenthood, and that's what I mean by that is like the toughest hood you can be in is parenthood. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I mean it. It's not easy. Parenting is not easy, but it's so much fun. Yeah. It's so much fun. And as parents, worrying will be the greatest setback from the womb and for the rest of our lives and for the rest of their lives. But it's important that we have faith that God will protect them. I cover Victoria every day with the blood of Jesus. I worry sometimes. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I worry sometimes, but I have to have faith that God is going to take care of her. The Word of God says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Honestly, if it were not for my parents instilling the Word of God into my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I was basically raised in church, and there were moments in my life where I rebelled and was led astray, but I had that foundation in my heart. I had Christ in my heart, and I was able to return to God and restore my faith. So for my parents who are out there, I just want to thank you for training me up in the way that I should go, because now I am able to take everything that I've learned, to take the foundation of Christ and instill it into Victoria's life. And I remember the moments where I rebelled and the moments where I went astray, and you guys believed in me still, and you guys would pray for me still. And, that's why it's just so important to really, really train a child up in the way he should go. Train your child to believe in Christ. And I promise you that when they grow old, they will always remember those moments. So thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you guys so much for everything that you have done for me. So, babe, do you have anything to say to your parents and in the way that they raised you?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to thank my parents as well. Growing up, I also grew up in church, was raised in church. My parents were pastors of a small church growing up in New York. So I grew up having that faith instilled within me. And growing up, I could always remember through the tough times, through the good times, my parents were always prayer warriors. My mom, my grandmother, I could always my grandmother praying always, and she watched and raised us a lot too. And she would always tell us our assignments. She said, "Anthony, you're going to be a worshiper. My brother, you're going to be an evangelist. Or my other brother, you're going to be a pastor. And Gio, you're going to be a worshiper." And she always prophesied that over us.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see that how it's coming to pass as far as my life's concerned. And so I will always remember that, and that's something that I want to instill in Victoria and in our future children, if the Lord permits.
That's good.
I want to thank you again, Mom, Dad, for always being patient, for always showing that you can put your trust and faith in God no matter what the situation is.
That's awesome. And before we go and before we wrap this up, I just wanted to say one thing. Don't compare yourself to other parents. There are parents that don't use technology, and there are moms that breastfeed. There are moms that use mental health techniques from the get-go. There are parents that don't hit their kids. There are parents that are vegan and refrain from sweets and don't do what we do. The list goes on and on. I used to always feel bad that I wasn't doing my best for Victoria, but I came across this quote from someone that says, "You have the exact qualities God knew your kids would need in a mom or dad." And I thought to myself, maybe I'm too harsh or I'm too strong to Victoria. Maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that. But I realized that the qualities that I have as a person are the qualities that Victoria may need from me. So if there's any parent out there feeling less of themselves, you are doing a great job. You're doing what you can for your kids. And right now you don't see it or feel it, but your struggle, your hustle will pay off in the long run. You may feel like you're not doing enough for them, but trust me, you are. You just need to understand that you are doing the best that you can for your kids. So, like I said, parenting is not easy, but it is fun.
Yes,
you have any last words, babe?
So, last words of advice from me, I will say that your child is not going to do anything you're not going to do. What I'm trying to say by that is, if I don't want my kid to eat snacks at night, it has to start with me, because she's going to learn all the habits that I have. If I want my child to grow up being a prayer, being a worshiper, that starts with me. I need to pray on my own time. I need to worship on my own time so that she can see, or so that my child can see that and grow up doing that. So everything that we want our child to do, let it start with us. Let it start with you, and then they're going to pick up on your habits and do exactly what you do.
That's good, babe. Well, babe, thank you for joining me at the table today.
You made it.
You made it. Second episode.
I need some water.
So thank you, babe, for helping me with Victoria. You are truly the best dad ever.
Thank you.
This has been the best 3.5 years with this girl. This has been the best 3.5 years. And I know that the journey goes on. Like, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
When she can, like, be a little bit more mature, it's gonna be fun. So, and thank you for always, like filling in those gaps. Sometimes I try to do it all myself, but you, like, fill in those gaps that I have. And you're always helping me out. So, thank you.
No
I
problem.
love you. So, thank you all for tuning into Benevolence, where kindness matters and all are welcome to the table. Please continue to spread the word and subscribe. And also, you can follow me on Instagram at I am Ceci Diaz for more about me and Benevolence. If there is a topic that you would like for me to cover in the future, please do not hesitate to message me on Instagram or Facebook with your request. And stay tuned for 2 very special guests that will be joining me at the table for next Monday's episode 8. Bye!
Bye.